Currently, the British £5 note includes a rather menacing picture of Sir Winston Churchill, and I'm sure you all know who he is, right? Wartime leader, great orator, has several movies about him, but really, did he actually do a whole lot? Nah, he's overhyped, overrated. I don't know why he's considered the #1 greatest Briton of all time, especially when he did some pretty questionable things. So who should be on the £5 note? Who was Britain's actual best leader? David Lloyd George, 1st Earl of Dwyfor. David Lloyd George. Born to a middle-class Welsh family in 1863, he became Member of Parliament for Carnarvon Boroughs in 1890 as a member of the Liberal Party, the forerunner to today's Liberal Democrats. At a time where Africa and Asia was mostly controlled by European empires, Lloyd George was surprisingly not racist, and believed that the British Empire had the duty of protecting the freedom of its constituents. For this, he opposed the Boer War and supported the Indian independence movement. In 1906, the Liberal Party won a landslide victory at the polls, winning nearly 60% of the seats in Parliament, which led to David's appointment as Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1908, which is just a fancy way of saying Minister of Finance. He and Prime Minister H.H. Asquith then drew up the People's Budget, which would introduce radical reforms to welfare, providing a lot of things we take for granted today, such as free school meals for children, free medical treatment for children, unemployment benefits, old age pensions, minimum wage, job centres, and national insurance. Unfortunately, at this time, the House of Lords still had the power of veto over anything passed by the House of Commons, and as the House of Lords was filled with rich, elderly Conservatives, the passing of the budget had to go like this. Pass this budget? No. Come on, pass it. No. Alright, we're calling another election then. That'll prove the people want these reforms. Okay, we won. Now pass it. No. Fine, I'll call another one then. Now pass it. No. Oi mate, if you want to keep yourself in a job, pass this budget. Ugh, fine. And since then, the elected House of Commons has always been more powerful than the unelected House of Lords. So the Liberal Party set about implementing these reforms, and got pretty far until suddenly... David Lloyd George's moved to the post of Secretary of State for War, but didn't really have any influence over the actual army and instead focused on the home front. By autumn of 1916, H.H. Asquith has to resign for his failures in the war. Who was going to fill his position? So Prime Minister Lloyd George takes command and has the war turned around for the Allies' favour pretty soon. When the war was won in 1918, Lloyd George represented Britain at the Paris Peace Conference, with the goal of resetting Germany as a liberal democracy and getting some reparation payments from them. Through the Representation of the People's Act in 1918, women were finally given the right to vote, but only if they were over the age of 30, as well as extending the right from rich men to poor men also. He also sorted out the Ireland conflict, sort of, by partitioning Ireland into the Protestant Northern Ireland and the Southern Republic of Ireland. Well, nobody's perfect. Despite his near-spotless record, Lloyd George was ousted as Prime Minister in 1922, but he continued to be an MP until his death in 1945. He was the last Prime Minister who was not from the Labour or Conservative Party, partly due to the fact poor people could now vote and tended to support the left-wing Labour Party instead of centrist Liberals. Lloyd George left a legacy of the modern welfare state, allowing the poor a good start in life and security needed to comfortably live through sickness, unemployment and old age. He also won a really big war. Winston Churchill only did one of those things. So what do you think? Who's the better leader?